All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. If this is your first time being on or if you're catching the replay, thank you so much. Welcome. My name is Liz Edwards, and I am budget aficionado when it comes to meal planning and meal prepping and just staying within a budget that is realistic for your family. Not only that, but I also love to help give you guys an opportunity to give back to the community and to be part of something bigger in this world while you're also being fit and healthy and creating that lifestyle. So I've created a Get Fit, Give Back sort of campaign that I've been doing this entire year, and I'm sure you'll see more about that, but pretty excited about it. But why you guys are here today. So I hope you guys had an amazing holiday weekend full of just family and friends and fun and swimming and all that stuff. We actually got rained out. Our fireworks got rained out last night. That's okay. We still had a blast. But I want to talk to you guys. So you probably have leftovers. If you are on live or if you're catching the replay, I want you guys to type in the comments some leftovers that you have that you're like, I don't know what to do with. I really, I want to eat healthy this week, but I haven't planned anything. Or I have all these leftovers and I don't know what to do with them. And I don't want to throw them out because that means that we are wasting money. And I do not want you to do that. I want to help save you money with your grocery budget so you can afford to do other fun stuff with your family and friends. And so you're able to also help give back to other people in need. So I have a list while you guys are kind of compiling yours, and as you're commenting what those are, I want to do this like in real time. I want you guys to type it in. What do you have left over and you're not really sure? Or even better, if you guys have some great tips and some great ideas of how you use your leftovers from this past weekend, definitely type that in as well so other people can see it. And if you don't mind, before we actually really get into this, if you don't mind sharing this is a great way for your friends and your families to also view what is happening over here at Lizedwardsfitness, so they can also start saving money, right? So if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and share that so everybody else can hop on and we can just collaborate together. And while we're doing that, I have a list of some things of leftovers that are pretty typical of 4th of July and cooking out and all that stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And then as you guys, after you share, go ahead and type in some of the stuff that you're kind of thinking about as well that you're not really sure what to do with. So maybe you had some beans. Maybe you grilled out and you had some beans, whether those are baked beans or they were black beans or whatever. What you want to do with those is make sure that you've rinsed them out, especially those baked beans. Rinse them, and then you guys can throw those in. Throw them in chili. Like, I know it seems really hot right now, but this is awesome because you can throw them in a pot of chili. Go ahead and make that. Freeze them in individual packages, and then you are set for some meals coming fall whenever the cold weather hits. So that's an idea for some beans. Also throwing them in some type of quesadilla or taco or anything like that. Those are going to be great if you throw them in some type of rice bowl, just some rice and some veggies and some salsa. And there you go, you have that. For breakfast, you can, if you like beans in your eggs, go for it. I'm not a big fan of that, but you definitely can if you are. You just have to be creative with this. All right, so what if you had some type of kebab, or you grilled like chicken or steak, or some type of meat, seafood, whatever. Seafood I typically don't like to reheat. I just don't think it tastes good afterwards. But if you definitely don't want to throw it away, maybe you had a ton of it left over, some ways that you can reuse these leftovers to help save money, and also you have your meals planned for this week so you're not hitting the drive-thru or just eating a bunch of junk, which, by the way, let me back it up. If you have junk food left over, if you were one of those people who splurged a little this weekend, the only way that you are going to get back on track or to start this new lifestyle all over again is to get it out of your house. If it is tempting you, get it out. That is the only way. Like, don't buy it. If it's already in your house, get rid of it. But you might be saying, but Liz, like, that's me throwing away money. And it kind of is. But at some point you have to weigh the options. Is my health more important, or is this $3 bag of chips more important? Which one, right? So, or if your neighbors don't care about their health yet, don't worry, we'll get them there. Give them the bag of chips. Just get it out of your house if you're tempted. All right, so let's move on. So you have some steak or some chicken or seafood left over. The first thing that pops in my mind is obviously fajitas. I mean, y'all, I love Mexican food. Love it. So any fajitas or tacos or quesadillas, anything like that is going to be really good for those. Also, something that a lot of people don't know is if you have a lot of meat left over, like you cook it in batches, it will more than likely go to waste if you don't use it. So go ahead and put it in individual containers and freeze it. You can freeze cooked meat. Freeze it, and then you can, whenever you're ready, if it's not this week, maybe it's in the next couple weeks, pull it out. You can thaw it, and then a way to reheat it so it doesn't dry out is just, say you have it in a Ziploc bag. Stick it in a bowl, leave it in the bag, stick it in a bowl of really warm hot water for a little while, and it will reheat it. It'll heat it up all the way through, and so it doesn't dry it out and cook it all over again. You will want to kind of keep your eye on it because if you leave it in there too long, it can dry it out. So that's one of my tips that I absolutely love to give people because sometimes you just don't know that you can do that. All right. So what about burgers? You've got a ton of burgers left over. What are you going to do with those? Because let's be honest, you can only have burgers so many times, so many days in a row without you just wanting to swear them off for the rest of your life. Spaghetti, throwing them in some type of spaghetti would be really good. And you could do, if you just chop it up or crumble it up really good, throw it into a quiche or a frittata. I love frittatas. Frittata is almost the exact same thing as a quiche. It just doesn't have the crust. It doesn't have bread. And so it's still just as good. Trust me, I'm a bread lover, but I love frittatas. And you can cook up an entire frittata in your cast iron skillet. That's what I do. And have it for breakfast. You can have it for dinner. You can have it all week long because you can actually serve it at room temperature, and that's okay. But you can throw any leftover hamburger in that, and that's a good way to go. Maybe you have corn on the cob. I'm not a huge fan of corn, but my husband loves it, so sometimes we have it left over. And I love doing one-pot meals where I just kind of throw a bunch of stuff in a pot. I like to call it kind of like a Mexican chili or a quinoa chili if I throw quinoa in it. And so sometimes I just throw, you put corn in it and some tomatoes, and you can even throw some of your leftover hamburger meat in there or a steak, whatever it is, throw it in there, heat it up, you're golden. It's going to be really good. And of course you can use corn again in any other type of Mexican dish. It's going to go great with it. Okay, veggies. Now, you may have not had any veggies this weekend, but if you grilled up a lot of veggies, that's the way I love to eat them. There are so many things that you can do with them. Obviously, you can freeze them after they're cooked. You can freeze them. Frittata and omelets are really good with leftover veggies. I do that a lot, even during the week if we have veggies for dinner one night, and it doesn't matter what veggie it is. It could be Brussels sprouts, broccoli, anything like that, even peas. It doesn't matter. If we don't eat all of it, then I'll just throw it in my omelet for the next morning, and that's really good. Obviously, you can throw them in any type of, I keep going back to Mexican because that is one of the easiest ways to repurpose a lot of your leftovers, but any type of burrito or fajitas, anything like that, any type of rice bowl, you can throw that in. One of my favorite ways to eat veggies is with a whole wheat pasta, or we have quinoa pasta, and veggies, whether they were steamed or grilled veggies, and some sort of protein. So whether it's you want to use your leftover chicken or your leftover steak that you have from this weekend, and then some feta cheese. And you just mix that up, and oh my goodness, it is my absolute favorite thing. I could eat it every single day. You can also throw veggies if you just want to chop them up really good. Throw that in spaghetti. So that's a good way to hide veggies for your kids if they don't like them, is throw it in a bowl of spaghetti or a plate of spaghetti for them, and they won't even realize that it's there. And obviously any type of like chili or soup that you want to throw it in, and like I said, just freeze that later, and you will be good to go for the fall when the weather starts cooling off, which it sounds crazy because we're almost in like 100-degree weather. Kind of think, what are you talking about, cold weather, right? Hey, Jen. And again, going back to the rice bowl, and a rice bowl is just sort of throwing stuff together that you have. So it could be rice, your leftover beans, a protein, some veggies. And y'all, seriously, I think anything with feta cheese is worth eating. But if you have a different favorite kind of one, then by all means use that as well. So those are some ideas for your leftover veggies. And then lastly, fruit. This is the last thing on my list. Again, if you guys have leftovers that I haven't mentioned, feel free to type those in the comments as well, and I'll be happy to help you figure out a really fun, creative way to reuse that this week without throwing it away. So fruit, you might have some leftover fruit, whether it's watermelon or grapes or bananas or apples or whatever you've had this weekend. You can obviously, as always, freeze them in individual containers, and then you can use those later in your smoothies. That's a really good way to do that. You can freeze, like if you have, you can do this with cucumbers too, but if you have a piece of fruit, like say a watermelon, put it in an ice cube tray and then fill a little bit with water. You can diffuse your water with it later. You can use any of the fruit and put in your water to kind of add some yummy flavors to it. I know sometimes people get bored with just regular H2O, so that's a fun way. And then one of my kids' favorite ways to reuse some fruit before it goes bad is to go ahead and blend it up with some sort of maybe like organic apple juice or lemonade or milk, even if you want to do that. Go ahead and blend it up. Don't put any ice in it, but just blend it up and then pour it into popsicle molds and throw that in the freezer for a few hours and let it freeze. And now you have instant popsicles that are healthy and not full of a ton of artificial sweeteners. So those are some of the ways that you can reuse your leftovers from grilling out this weekend, this 4th of July weekend. Again, thank you guys so much for hopping on. If you have any other leftovers that I haven't mentioned, or maybe you're catching the replay that weren't mentioned, feel free to comment or send me a message, and I'll be happy to help you figure out a really fun meal plan this week for your family based on your schedule and the leftovers that you have. And if you haven't already, share this video so other people can benefit from it as well. And I would definitely appreciate it. And I will talk to you guys soon. All right. See ya.